Hello, I'm Denise Galoni. Welcome to today's episode of Empowering You. I am so honored to have this guest on my show today. My guest for today's episode is Dr. Cody Jordan, who is also a captain in the U.S. Air Force. Dr. Cody is an amazing person. He's a two-time author and co-founder of the Migraine Challenge. He is going to provide you with so much information that's going to help you cure some migraines. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I'm really excited to have a special guest for you today on Empowering You. Dr. Cody Jordan, who is also a captain in the U.S. Air Force. As you'll see, Captain Jordan is taking time out of his busy weekend from working with the military on base to join us today to talk about an important subject, migraines. He's the co-founder of the Pittsburgh Migraine Challenge. So let's welcome Dr. Cody Jordan. Dr. Cody, thanks for joining us today.
Denise, it's always a pleasure. I'm so happy to be here speaking with you today.
I am so excited. We have so much to talk about.
Absolutely.
First of all, I mentioned that you are a captain in the U.S. Air Force. Thank you so much for all of your service. How long have you been in the military?
Yeah, February this past month was just, I hit 19 years. It's been 19 years already. Time's just flying by.
Oh, again, thank you so much for everything you do and for your service. And thank you for taking time out on the base right now to do this interview.
Oh, absolutely.
I want to jump right in because I know we have so much to talk about today. What is the Pittsburgh Migraine Challenge?
Yeah, so as you mentioned earlier, my wife and I, we co-founded the Pittsburgh Migraine Challenge, and it's going on to over 10 years now that we've been doing it. And really what it is a lot of migraine sufferers, they have a very similar story. And people that suffer from debilitating migraines, their quality of life is clearly being affected, but they just kind of end up down this long twisted road where they're kind of put through the ringer, and they go to different doctors and experts and specialists and neurologists. They get the MRIs, the CTs, and there's just no answer. Right. So we've been able to come up with a very unique and different form of care that not only takes down your migraines, but we've been able to correct migraines and completely get rid of them.
That's incredible. You've written 2 books. And the latest book is the Pittsburgh Migraine Challenge, or the Migraine Challenge?
Yes, it's called the Migraine Challenge.
Yes. And that's co-authored with your wife, Dr. Amanda Jordan?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. And she was on my show, Empowering Women, a few years ago.
She was, yes.
Yes. So I know your backstory. So why is migraines and this cure for migraines so important to you and Dr. Amanda?
Yeah, so I'll keep it short and sweet, but to be able to explain that, I got to share with you my story. You see, Denise,
yes.
I personally suffered from migraines from the age of 10 to 21. And like many migraine sufferers who we've been able to help, my story wasn't much different. From the age of 10, I felt different from the other kids. I was constantly missing school. I was regularly having to sit out of sporting events. And it was because of these debilitating migraines. And, while most kids are outside playing and, they're playing with their friends like kids should do, I often found myself sitting in the dark, just crying myself to sleep, just wishing these damn headaches away. And I remember the ER visits like they were yesterday. My mom, now that I'm a parent, I could imagine what she felt.
Absolutely.
She just felt so helpless, and she just didn't know what to do. And I had these flare-ups, and I remember the ER visits, 2 a.m, we'd rush to the ER only to be offered more medications and drugs. So to fast forward, to make a long story shorter, what happened was I was 21 years old, and I was actually getting ready to go to Iraq for a year with the United States Air Force. And my migraines, they were flaring up so much so that I couldn't keep up with the training.
Oh my.
And yeah, really neat story. So really at the time, now that I look back, it would have been like my boss's boss, a highly decorated Air Force officer reached out to me And I do. I remember like it was yesterday. He looked me square in the eye and he says, "Son, I want you to go to my doctor for your condition." And I just sort of like nervously giggled, like, "Sir, you don't understand. I've been to every doctor, every expert, every
Right.
specialist." But what was neat is he didn't just only insist that I go to his doctor. He actually drove me that day.
Wow.
And, I walked into this office and it was so different from anything else I ever experienced. I've been to hundreds of doctors at that point, and this was different. I walked in and, people were smiling, their energy was up. It's like they wanted to be there. And I was just kind of confused at the whole thing. But at the age of 21, I had no idea what chiropractic was. And lo and behold, this gentleman that I went to, he was a specific corrective care chiropractor. And he not only did he give me my life back, he changed it so much so that I no longer put up with headaches or migraines. And I actually came back and became a corrective care chiropractor.
Yes. And you and Dr. Amanda own Family Chiropractic in the North
We
Hills.
do. We do. We're up in Cranberry Township. Yes.
So, Dr. K, so are you cured from migraines? Do you still get migraines? Do you get them every once in a while?
Denise, it's been over 15, actually going on to 16 years now since I've had a migraine.
That's incredible. Now, when you tell people that, Dr. K, do they believe you, people that suffer from migraines? Or do they say, no, we don't believe that?
Well, here's what's neat. We didn't necessarily even believe it. It's just like, wow, your whole life is just, your quality of life is not there.
Right.
And now that we've helped literally over 2,500 people with debilitating migraines, we started to realize that people that suffer from migraines, like their entire quality of life, like their marriages are being affected. They're not the parents they know their kids deserve. Their careers and their professional lives are being affected. So no, when that's honestly why we call it the migraine challenge. Because if you go out there and you say, "Hey, I'm going to help you," people aren't going to believe that. They've already been told every empty promise in the book.
Right. Well, you yourself. So when they came to you, says, "My doctor can help," you're like, "Oh no, I've been to doctors, I've taken everything. It just doesn't work."
Exactly.
And migraines can be very serious. I know some people get them lightly. Some people get them, like you said, they can't even get out of bed. They have to stay in the dark room. There's different variations of migraines. What are some things that people can do, Dr. Cody, that are suffering from migraines? I mean, besides, read your book and read what you have in there and maybe go get some corrective action done. What can they do? Like today, if someone's suffering from migraines.
Here's the neat thing about migraines is, I'm gonna backpedal a little bit. Our medical system here in the United States, and this does include the majority of chiropractors and physical therapists and certainly all the different specialties, we have a very reactive system. We have a very reactive healthcare system.
Sure.
So a lot of these doctors and a lot of these systems, they do what I call chasing symptoms. And as long as you're chasing symptoms, you're never going to be able to correct it. You're going to simply just cover it up. You're going to mask it, but you're not going to get to the root cause of the problem. So when somebody has a specific condition, such as migraines, chasing symptoms doesn't work. And that's why there's literally a pill for every single symptom out there, because our medical system, it is reactive and they are chasing symptoms. So the neat thing about migraines, and we've been able to discover this over the last going on to 10 plus years, is that there's only two causes. Okay. This is huge because people who suffer from migraines, they've been told a lot of different things.
It's something they eat or something environmental.
There's only two causes. Okay. Now, yes, before I get to those two causes, yes, there's hundreds of things that can flare up migraines.
Right.
And you go to a neurologist, they're going to say, "Hey, avoid those certain kind of lights. Don't drink too much caffeine. Maybe you need to lay off the dark chocolate."
Right.
You spend the rest of your life trying to figure out what triggers your migraines, what flares them up.
Right.
But the reality is there's only two causes.
Okay.
So would you like to know what those two causes are?
We all want to know what those two causes are.
Yeah, absolutely. So what they are is, number one, and what we specialize in, is a neurological deficiency. So here's what's neat about it. Every single patient who we've been able to accept as a patient in our office, and we've gotten life-changing results, it's because they've had one of two findings on x-rays. Like, it's so black and white. There's literally no guesswork on our end. You either have a neurological deficiency, great, you're in the right place. We'll let you know, A, can we help? And if you can, we'll let you know to what extent. Or when we check people for migraines, if they don't have a neurological deficiency, then great, we can rule that out. And then no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They have a chemical imbalance in their body. That's what's causing the migraine. So those are the only two causes. You either have a neurological deficiency or you have a chemical imbalance in your body.
Okay, that's interesting. Again, something that we've probably never heard before.
I mean, I certainly haven't heard it. And when I was suffering from the age of 10 to 21, and we were sent down the rabbit hole trying anything and everything, just chasing symptoms.
Right.
And I'll tell you, just from personal experience, you get to a point where you feel hopeless. And you just don't know, do I have to live like this the rest of my life?
Right. You must have to adapt your whole life to that.
Mm-hmm.
Living around your migraine, so to speak. Right.
Correct.
So if there is a chemical imbalance, that should be able to be treated then, and that's what you'll do.
So a chemical imbalance is rather simple. It's been my experience. Most people who have migraines from a chemical imbalance, I mean, you can clear that within 3 months, and typically that's just some simple lifestyle changes. Now, what we specialize in is the neurological deficiency, and like I said, we find one of two things on X-rays, and the most common one that we find that would be in like a chronic migraine sufferer. I'm talking people who suffer for like 30, 40 plus years, getting these on a weekly basis.
Right.
The base of your skull here, that bone is called your occiput. And when we take an X-ray there should be a big space between your occiput and your C1 cervical vertebra. And a lot of times what we see is that space, it starts to close down. And if you have full compression there, really what's happening neurologically is you're choking the spinal cord. The energy from the brain, it can't even get through there, and it's not getting out to your glands. And when you have glandular issues, it's going to lead to inflammation. Inflammation leads to symptoms. That's
incredible. That's something I've never heard before. I have friends that suffer from severe migraines. My sister, suffers from severe migraines, and I have never heard that before.
The statistics of migraine sufferers it's ridiculous. I mean, I knew migraines was an issue, but until we launched this migraine challenge and these patients just keep flowing through our office, that's when I really started to see like this is a big deal. And nobody's offering a good answer. All they're being offered is medications and drugs and injections. And unfortunately, there's side effects to all of those. And worse, they only offer temporary relief.
So, Dr. Coe, you said that you haven't had a migraine for like 15 years.
Yeah, going on to 16.
16, and that's with no medications, nothing.
No, zero medications.
So this whole show is about empowering people, empowering you. And I think what you're saying can really empower someone that's watching. Because there may be someone that's watching this and thinking, because I've been suffering for so many years with this.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm so glad that you're sharing this information.
Well, that's why we align so well. I mean, we've been friends for years now, but it's the same mission. We just do it differently. Really, my job is to inspire people to want to be better. And then I offer them a solution by empowering them. If people can get rid of their migraines, that's life-changing.
That's a game changer.
Absolutely.
Because I would think that people that suffer from severe migraines, that changes their whole life. Mm-hmm. They can't do things that, like you said, as a child, you were stuck in the house. Do any children suffer from migraines?
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's yes.
I wouldn't think that either. I wouldn't think that children suffered from migraines.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because I'm telling you, now that I'm a parent, I got a 9 and a 7-year-old. I couldn't imagine. I can't imagine, because these parents, they literally feel hopeless. They're watching their kids struggle to get through the days. They're off sleeping. They're in the dark. They're medicated. They're drowsy. They're drugged up. They're not their normal, healthy selves. And as a parent, my goodness, it is the worst feeling in the world. So yes, we see a boatload of kids coming in who are suffering from headaches.
Wow, that's something. Any age, it just
doesn't
matter.
Absolutely.
You can share any age. Okay.
Yeah.
And you said there's hundreds of triggers, and I know you can't mention all the triggers that triggers a migraine, but what are a couple common triggers that you see that trigger people's migraines that maybe people can cut back on a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's going to be mostly food related because here's the thing. Stress attacks the weakest part of the body. What we do is so unique and different. We do full spine x-rays, and the reason we do that is because I want to look at your entire spine. There's 24 vertebrae that are in a spine, and the whole entire purpose of your spine is to protect your spinal cord. Your spinal cord is your lifeline. So when I say stress attacks the weakest part of the body, every single person on this in the universe should have a full spine x-ray, and they should be seen by a specific corrective care chiropractor. And the reason is because stress attacks the weakest part of the body. So when it comes to migraines and people have specific conditions such as a migraine, when I say stress, I'm talking about physical stress. People with poor posture, they constantly have physical stress on their nervous system. Certainly, I'm talking about mental and emotional stress. You know, if you have a stressful lifestyle, whether you're a parent or you're in a rough relationship or even just work related, those stresses will continue to attack, weaken, and break down the weakest part of the body. And then really the most common stress here in America, it's chemical stress. The majority of Americans, we're not eating great. And not only that, most Americans are medicated. And that chemical stress, your body doesn't want it. It certainly doesn't want it long term. And it's been my experience, most Americans nowadays are on long-term medications. And we all know that it's not a great long-term strategy and they have side effects.
Dr. Cuddy, I mentioned that you authored another book also, Beyond Symptoms.
Correct.
Is that, and that was before the migraine challenge. And you do talk about some of these other things that you just mentioned about trying to get off the medications and trying to eat correctly. So it all fits together, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it. If you just break down Beyond Symptoms, it goes right along with the principle I was sharing with you. Chasing symptoms does not work. You got to look beyond the symptoms. Why is my body not functioning the way it was designed to? That's really the question that needs to be asked, because the minute you have a symptom, you're going to chase it. And then it's going to lead to another symptom, which is going to lead to another symptom. And now you're just down this path. And it's just not a good long-term strategy.
Not a good strategy. So what's next for Dr. Cuddy Jordan?
Well, here's the thing, Denise. This whole migraine challenge is literally blowing up. People are getting life-changing results, and they're getting their quality of life back. They're able to go fulfill their life purpose. And we've been getting so much success that literally I've been flying around the country. I've been teaching other chiropractors. I do a lot of corporations bring me in, and I speak more on a wellness term, but migraines really are debilitating, and it is affecting companies, and it's affecting their bottom line. So, I mean, that's eating up most of my time, which is very rewarding and very fulfilling. But here's what's really exciting with the migraine challenge. Yes, it was founded right here in Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh Migraine Challenge. Because we're getting such life-changing results, we actually have a Philadelphia Migraine Challenge, a Detroit Migraine Challenge, a North Texas Migraine Challenge, and up and running right now. We're running probably I'd say by July. There should be in Atlanta, a Chicago, and then up in Green Bay, Wisconsin, there's going to be migraine challenges there with other very specific doctors who are doing very specific and unique care like we do.
Right. And when you say that too, that's just something else. I know you point out, but I just want to reiterate that you're a chiropractor, but you do a different chiropractic treatments, I should say, than other chiropractors do. It's specific for migraines, the chiropractic that you do.
So here's the difference. I would say, if I were to generalize it, I would say 90% of chiropractors do very similar treatments to every single patient who walks in their door.
Right.
And because of that, and it's our profession's own fault, but because of that, the general population believes that chiropractic has to do with neck pain and back pain. And that's not necessarily the case. In fact, it's actually the furthest thing from the truth. Now, there's a need for that kind of chiropractic, but the reality is when somebody comes in with a specific condition, such as migraines, you got to go to a more specific type of chiropractor. And there's a huge difference, without getting too deep in there.
Sure, right.
There's a huge difference between a good specific chiropractic adjustment versus a chiropractic manipulation. And when it comes down to manipulation, you could go to chiropractors, you could go to physical therapists, you could go to
Right.
DOs. It's just not specific.
Right. And that's, I
So,
think most of us have experienced, just general manipulation of your back, your neck, shoulders.
So to answer your question, yes, what we do very unique and different. Less than 2% of chiropractors do it. And really what it is we are a specific corrective care chiropractor, which means we're not in the business of giving temporary relief. We want to actually correct somebody's problem. And the thing is, Denise, it doesn't have to be migraines. Migraines is the world that we went down because they are so debilitating.
Yes.
And people who have migraines, like they're looking to fix it now.
Right.
But it's the same thing. Just to give you an idea, like we help people with other chronic issues like IBS, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, extreme anxiety. We help people with a lot of different things. So really our number one goal is getting people to understand how the body works. And because stress does attack the weakest part of the body, we can figure out where people have vulnerabilities. It's simple. We just got to fix it, correct it, and then more importantly, stabilize it. And those people will be able to handle stress a lot better.
You're doing a tremendous job. I mean, I follow you on Facebook. I follow Family Chiropractic, and just amazing the stories that are on there. And I see the patients leaving, that you have pictures and they're hitting a gong as they walk out the door because they're just so happy. It's just, you and Dr. Amanda are doing a tremendous job. And I know you're helping so many people.
Well, thank you for those kind words. I appreciate that.
Yes. And I think we all have so much more to learn because it is such a huge problem. And we've been trained to think differently about it. As you said, we think, and maybe I ate too much chocolate, or maybe it's these lights that's giving me a migraine, when really it could just be a manipulation that you take care of.
Absolutely.
Any final words, Dr. Cody?
No, what I would say is if any of your viewers, you do suffer from migraine or you know someone who does, just get on pghmigraine.com. That's our website. It's pghmigraine.com. And honestly, if you just read through there, there's endless people who have gotten life-changing results or sharing their stories. And also, if you're a local business or you have an organization, I will gladly come in and donate my time and get in front of people just to share the message of specific corrective chiropractic, because it's just that important for people to take responsibility of their health so that they can be inspired and empowered to fulfill their life purpose. Absolutely.
Because this is your passion. You suffered from migraines for many years. Dr. Amanda suffered from migraines for many years. So did you ever imagine as a young boy in that bedroom crunch, you couldn't go out and play because of these migraines, that you'd be changing the whole way people look at migraines many years later?
Oh my gosh, no. In fact, when I was 21, I went to Iraq for a year. When I came back, I already had a bachelor's degree. I was a computer programmer. And when I came back, when I came back, I told everyone, I told my friends, my family, all my loved ones, I'm like, I'm going back to school. I'm becoming a chiropractor. They all thought I was freaking nuts. Right. And look now. Well, thank you so much for everything that you're doing, Dr. Cody. Best of luck. Get the message out there and let's help as many people as you can, because it is such a debilitating condition. Yeah, you got it, Denise. I really appreciate the work that you're doing too with the empowerment there. It's an absolute privilege to be on your show. So thank you so much. Honored to be there again. Thank you again for your service. Good luck this weekend. And I guess we'll see you on Facebook. They can follow you on Facebook also, correct? Do you have a Facebook? Absolutely. Yeah, feel free to look me up. Okay. And one more time before we sign off, Dr. Cody, the name of your book, your migraine book, is called? It's The Migraine Challenge. The Migraine Challenge. And they can find that on Amazon or anywhere. Yeah, honestly, if you're local, if you have a local viewer, you can just contact my office. I'll gladly send you a copy, no charge. Oh, thank you so much, Dr. Cody. And good luck with everything. Thank you, Denise. Thank you for watching today's episode of Empowering You. I'd like to thank my guest, Dr. Cody Jordan, also Captain Jordan of the U.S. Air Force, for taking time out of his busy weekend on the military base
to talk to us about migraines, what causes migraines, and how to cure migraines. I hope the information that he gave you helps empower you to live the best life you can. Thank you for watching and see you next time.